This is Bishop Craig in northern Michigan, and this is take one for the week of May 24. Peace be with you. I'm recording on Memorial Day today. It's been a bit of an emotional Memorial Day weekend as I watched the National Memorial Day concert on PBS last night and have watched some stuff related to the end of World War II on some history channels. I'm very mindful and prayerful about all those who have sacrificed their life for our country and their families, the loved ones they leave behind. These specials on Memorial Day talked a bit about the loneliness, the isolation, the loss, the pain, the mental anguish that comes from all this, and how it's made worse by the fact that we are in a pandemic. And so I join many others in saying if you're struggling with emotional and mental issues, you don't need to struggle alone. If you're a parishioner, reach out to your pastor, and your pastor will put you in contact with folks. If you're a rostered minister, reach out to me, and I will put you in contact. I keep reminding everybody, including myself, that as rostered ministers, we get 6 sessions with a therapist through Portico. So maybe time to take advantage of that. In certain quarters of our synod, life is made even more complicated by flooding. And so we're praying for those communities, Trinity in Midland, St. Timothy in Midland, Hope in Rhodes, East Tawas and Augrey, and I expect things will find their way into Saginaw. All of our congregations are undamaged and are working really hard to minister to their communities. We thank those rostered ministers and those congregations. We thank you who have contributed to our Synod Disaster Response Fund. Thank you for those gifts. We continue to share that money as needs come to us. I'm very grateful that Pastor Sprang is taking the lead on this initiative. If you have questions, you're of course welcome to reach out to David. So the other thing that I'm mindful of is that we're going to be having the 3rd session of our course on racial justice. It's on Zoom Tuesday at 1. Pastor Roseanne is doing a fine job of leading it. We thank those who are participating and those who are watching the videotapes, and you're welcome to join us. I'm aware that they expect that 100,000 fatalities will occur this week as we continue living with this virus. For me, that means about a Michigan stadium full of folk will be gone altogether. I'm also aware that many are really urgent to get back to their church buildings and to worship, and that many are afraid to get back to their church buildings and worship. Both things are true. And so the governor has extended her stay-at-home order till the 12th. And my recommendation is the earliest we go back to worship in our buildings is the 21st of June, and that worship may not be the first or the best thing we do. Come into our building in groups of less than 10 and pray together, read the Bible together. It may not be congregant worship that leads us off. So I hope congregations are working on their plans, and I hope if rostered ministers have decided to work on the plan themselves, they're doing a good job of sharing it with leaders for input and for information. So that's my advice these days. As I've prayed about all this, what comes to mind this week is the small catechism and the commandment, thou shalt not kill, which has been kind of my guiding principle through all of this. I don't want the church to do anything that's going to kill anyone. And that what Luther says in the small catechism is we are to do everything not to cause our neighbor bodily harm, which involves a level of sacrifice. So we may need to wait a little longer, not only to not cause certain of our members bodily harm, but to not cause our neighbor bodily harm. So I'm still in the cautious place. In all of this, Sunday is Pentecost. The 31st is Pentecost. And I get to preach this week, so that sermon will be available to congregations, I think, on Wednesday, and then to anyone on Sunday. And for me, it's a simple message, this Pentecost. In all that's going on within us and around us, Jesus continues to send the Holy Spirit. Jesus promised to send us the Holy Spirit, and Jesus continues to send us the Holy Spirit. Sometimes the Holy Spirit is as intimate as a breath. And I'm not equating the Holy Spirit and the breath we need to survive, because they're two different things. But sometimes the Spirit comes to us as intimate as a breath, as in John's Gospel. Jesus breathed on them and said to them, "Receive the Holy Spirit." And sometimes the Holy Spirit comes forcefully and powerful as a wind, as in the Acts account, and blows us where we may not want to go. And maybe this year the Holy Spirit is blowing us not out into the world, but to stay inside a little longer, as Jesus protects and cares for those who are afraid and those who are struggling and those who are vulnerable. I had a colleague when I was a preaching professor who used to say the Spirit doesn't come unless there is singing. And I know one of the things that we are grieving is we may not be able to get together and sing. So on Sunday evening, the 31st, we are going to have to launch our virtual hymn sing. I'm grateful for the partnership of the University in East Lansing, and we are going to have some beloved hymns that we can all gather around our computers and sing, and know that we are not singing alone, that we are, even though we're separated by space, our voices are together, kind of like on Silent Night. On Christmas Eve, we all sing Silent Night. Yes, we do it in our church buildings, but we're mindful that people are singing it across the ages and around the world. So for Pentecost, we sing, and we hope, we trust, we wait as the Holy Spirit comes. So that's take one for this week of the 24th of May. And please know that I am holding you all in my prayers, and I ask you to remember me in your prayers as well. And the peace of Christ be with you. Take care.